Investigators have found a truck that could be connected to the crime spree that killed a 20-year-old girl in Jefferson County. Police say suspects threw a large rock at Alexa Bartel's car, hitting her while she was driving.
They believe the same group threw rocks at other drivers in the metro area last night, too. Here's 9 News reporter Kelly Rinke.
This is shocking, and it's absolutely disturbing that this happened.
An empty field was filled with investigators on Thursday for a 20-year-old girl who should have made it home in her yellow car. Jefferson County deputies say Alexa Bartel was driving on Indiana Street when someone threw a large rock at her car, hitting and killing her.
And this is a 20-year-old female who was driving home from work, and she is no longer with us because of this senseless act.
A friend from work described her as everyone's friend, a joy to be around. Alexa graduated from Arvada West High. A classmate said she was always the person you could call for anything, just to talk or laugh. It's what she was doing in her final moments.
I was talking to a friend on the phone.
Her friend gets worried and tracks her phone to this field.
She approached the car, and she could see Alexa inside, and that Alexa was gone.
Less than a day later, investigators said they found the pickup truck that could be connected and its owner. They believe this car may be involved in other incidents that night, 2 of them in Boulder County.
States that a suspect had thrown a rock through their window, and PD are requesting you non-emergent for a check on a possible eye injury.
Investigators say in Superior on McCaslin in Indiana, someone threw rocks at 2 cars, hurting one driver.
This is not fun and games. This is not a prank.
It's a decision that prevented a family from seeing their daughter return home.
This killed a woman last night, and we want to know who did this.
Investigators believe there are 5 incidents in all happening within 2.5 hours last night. Every victim was driving their car when police say someone threw the rock. Alexa was killed, and 2 other people have minor injuries. Kim.
So dangerous, and we feel so bad for her and her family, but the friend...
Can you imagine, right? Just talking to a friend and then the line goes blank, and for her to have the thought to track that phone and find it in the field is incredible. But of course, our heart goes out to what she had to find and the experience she went through. Just awful.
Yeah. Okay. We hope they find this person. All right. Thank you, Kelly.
Tonight, leaders in Colorado's largest school district were supposed to get legal advice about new security measures announced by a middle school principal. Instead, they argued over how to keep that conversation out of the public's view. Denver School Board was supposed to go into executive session tonight to talk about safety changes at McAuliffe International School. Last week, McAuliffe's principal sent a letter to parents asking them to sign up for shifts to guard the school and shared plans for more security cameras and mental health support. Superintendent Alex Marrero told the board they needed to discuss a potential problem. The board didn't end up talking about security. They debated whether it was a better move to have the discussion in executive session or with one-on-one phone calls with the superintendent. Either way, the public doesn't get to hear it. They ultimately decided the superintendent would share a confidential memo. The board was also supposed to go into executive session to discuss the superintendent's contract, but they decided against that as well.
Today, Club Q released its design for a tribute memorializing the lives lost in last November's shooting. The owner of the club says there will be 5 pillars with the names of the people who lost their lives. There will also be a pride flag, lights, and a rock garden surrounding it all. The owner says they want to build the memorial first before they begin remodeling the club. They just submitted the plan to the city for final approval.
We must make sure that it's very clear that hate can't win, hate can't hold us down, that the people that lost their lives here are remembered, and that there's a place for their family and their friends to go to, and all of us that knew them and loved them, that we can be reminded on a daily basis.
The owner plans to reopen Club Q with security improvements in the fall. Club Q is accepting donations for the memorial. It's expected to cost around $250,000. We have a link to donate on our website.
We got a bit of a break from the wet weather. It's a short one, though. We're in for another cool spring day tomorrow with more rain and more snow on the way to start our weekend. Yay. The cooler weather will give communities in western Colorado, though, a break from devastating flooding. This time last week, melting snow is flooding rivers, cutting off roads, and closing schools. Tonight, people in the town of Hayden, west of Steamboat Springs, met to talk about how to handle the future flooding. They say last week the town's wastewater treatment plant was taking in more than triple the amount of water it was designed to. They're expecting river flows to peak in mid-May or June, which is normal timing, but with significantly higher water levels than usual.
Years of constant construction at DIA got the city auditor's attention. Today, airport leaders got to talking after the auditor found they're doing a bad job managing money. The more than $2 million Great Hall project remodeled the main terminal and is supposed to eventually move all security checkpoints upstairs. Denver's auditor's office found the airport may have skipped a fair bidding process in the scramble to hire the project's second contractor, but they're not 100% sure because there wasn't enough documentation. Auditor Tim O'Brien says his office asked why there weren't more records, and the airport said they tried to keep records to a minimum because of open records requests.
To say the airport hasn't been overcharged, I would say that's erroneous, and we have hard evidence that they are. To what extent, we don't know, because HP couldn't give us all that information.
The audit also found the company had hired dozens of subcontractors for $70 million worth of work, but only a third had the right approvals. The auditor thinks the airport was probably overpaying. DIA managers say the city attorney's office approved the company and that it has final say over which subcontractors it works with. Construction is expected to last until at least 2028.
It's getting more expensive to buy and harder to find home insurance here in Colorado. It's something we've heard about from people after several large and destructive wildfires, but a new report from the state now has the data to back that up. 9 News reporter Jennifer Meckles walks us through those findings.
Alex, this study was truly created in the context of wildfires. A bill from last year after the Marshall Fire and East Troublesome fires. It directed the Division of Insurance to do this study. And the findings impact homeowners across the state with higher premiums and some companies dialing back what they will offer in Colorado.
Between January 2019 and October 2022, the average Coloradan saw their home insurance premium go up by 51.7%. Let's all remember what hail can do to cars and roofs. And then there are the fires. Just look at where the East Troublesome fire and the Marshall fire fall on this timeline.
Marshall, East Troublesome being inflection points because, some years we're lucky where the fires mainly are on let's say national forest land where there aren't many people, there aren't many homes, there aren't many structures. But when they do hit those structures, they are costly, as we've seen with Marshall.
And remember, insurance is a business. The state's Division of Insurance says it is a business they've learned is struggling in Colorado.
With the increasing premiums, companies continue to lose money, which leads to the other interesting point in the report is that consolidation at the top with the big companies.
This report found that most people are buying from the top 5 large national carriers, while 76% of other carriers are shrinking in our state.
It might mean that they're not renewing for people, or they are renewing with less coverage at likely higher premiums, or they're putting other sorts of restrictions in place. Basically, they're reassessing their risk tolerance.
And less insurance availability makes the state pretty nervous.
And if it happens in just one area of Colorado or a handful of areas, it's not going to stay there. It's going to leak out and become a problem across the state.
So then what happens if somebody can't get insurance at all? Well, there is a Democrat-backed bill working through the state legislature now that would create a public option. Think of this like an insurance of last resort. Other states that have natural disaster risks have systems like this already in place for hurricanes or wildfires or whatever. The Division of Insurance helped guide this legislation and says they also want to hear from anybody who is unable to get coverage right now. We have some information on our website about that.
Yeah, it seems almost unethical like something like that is needed, but appears that it is.
And there are people we have seen in other states that can't get coverage after something really bad happens repeatedly over and over. So you don't want people walking around without insurance.
Absolutely not. All right, Jenny, thanks for that data.
24 years ago today, the world learned the name Columbine High School. 12 students and 1 teacher were killed on this day in 1999. Nearly 24 others were hurt.
I just think it's a really important thing for our school, and it's a really important thing just in general to give back to the community.
Columbine students didn't go to school today. Instead, they led dozens of service projects across the metro area. We were there as students planted flowers and vegetables at Governor's Ranch Elementary, a tradition of new life on a day of such loss. 24 years ago, we made a promise to never forget. So we leave you with the names of the 13 people lost.